if you have a small child or a child in general, you're probably aware of the distinction in what you believe versus what you will accept. Your child can say they didn't eat their lunch because the school didn't give them enough time to eat, which is something my kid has said. And you can just accept it because, you know, they weren't hungry and that's what that really means. But you don't believe it. I feel like this distinction also needs to be applied to our deconstruction process. I'm Brianna, I'm a life coach, and my goal is to support you in your religious deconstruction and your connection to God. One thing that has become very clear to me since my deconstruction, or within my deconstruction, is that there are a lot of things that never really hit. A lot of things that I just accepted versus what I actually believed. I tried to find some like established discussion on acceptance versus belief. I really didn't find anything, so I'm just going to use these terms for lack of anything better, but hopefully you'll still get the gist of what I'm saying, even if there are better semantics for it. There are so many things that I now realize I never really believed, I just accepted. The two main ones are my beliefs about what happens after we die and our purpose for being here. When I wasn't even dating my husband. We weren't even really friends yet. We were kind of co-workers because I was an intern at the place that he worked. And we would have chats every now and then, and this is one of the first ones. I can't remember the context of the conversation, but I remember this moment where I had to answer. I had said something like, I wanted to fulfill my purpose because it was a gym. I was in personal training. I really didn't want to do that, and I was probably like thinking about the greater purpose of my life. And he said, okay, what's your purpose? And I just remember stretching out that 1 second before I said, to glorify God, because I was a little embarrassed by it, but also knew that it was important for me to speak up. I said that, but did I really believe that? No, I didn't really believe that. And actually, while I was thinking through this topic, I realized that when I say believed, I really mean, did it really make sense to me? No, it did not make sense to me. That was something that I accepted as my purpose. Now that I know more about spirituality, I am familiar with what it feels like to believe something. And I have learned different things to help me to see the difference in the way this information feels versus the way this information feels. And that's what's kind of gotten me here. I believe my purpose for being here is to live out this life plan that me and whoever else up there have decided for myself in order to achieve certain attributes or experiences that I need to do in this lifetime for the overall development of my soul. You know, there's probably a better way to say that, but basically I think that I'm here to follow a specific path and accomplish certain experiences and overcome them. Which actually, this is a good time to put in that I get a lot of this information, not information, but my sense of my path is informed by my life path number and by my human design. So yeah, that's something I believe more than we're here to glorify God. Now, the other thing I said was, what happens after we die? To be honest, worshiping God for the rest of eternity has never sounded good. And I thought it was something that was like, I'm just supposed to want it because it's good. I don't actually have to desire that. But that didn't sound good to me. And actually my husband and one of my best friends said that considering worshiping God for eternity was always terrifying to them, that's just really surprising to me. Terrifying. It's supposed to be good. Why are you feeling terrified? Well, what I believe is that we die and then we finish our business and make a new plan and come back. I believe in reincarnation. And to be honest, I've always believed in reincarnation, but I just didn't have enough information to really do anything about that belief, or to have it create a juxtaposition between this belief and this belief of going to heaven. And ultimately, that was one of the reasons I felt like I needed to leave Christianity, because how can you believe in reincarnation and believe Jesus died so that you don't go to hell? It just kind of doesn't work together. I'm talking about this because I want to make 2 points. One point is that when you're deconstructing, if you start paying attention to what you believe versus what you accept, you might realize that you haven't exactly changed. You might just be paying more attention to the distinction. You might just be paying more attention to the fact that you don't believe stuff because previously you didn't have a reason to question it, or you didn't have something else to believe. So I know that a lot of people are struggling with the feeling of being misled or deceived, or Satan's attacking you or whatever. But when you think about it this way and recognize what has actually changed, that can give you some sense of perspective on it, or the clarity that, I mean, if my beliefs haven't actually changed because I didn't really believe that information in the first place, it's probably likely that I'm not deceived. I think what happens that initiates the deconstruction process is there's some sort of event or event experience, or like you reach the limit of a certain experience so that you have a paradigm shift and now everything seems different to you. And deconstruction is the process of going back through, now that you have a different angle to look at everything on, and seeing what you want to get rid of and what you want to keep. Now, there are a lot of Christians who are fighting for their lives against deconstruction. They think you should not deconstruct. Someone wrote a book, and I wish I meant to look up the title of it, but some white lady made a book and they're saying don't deconstruct, reform. But to me, what they're really saying is don't rethink your faith, don't evaluate it, don't judge it, don't test it, don't see if it's real to you. Just let it be, but maybe listen to contemporary music instead of hymns or something. Like, to me, that's what they're saying. They're saying don't think about it too hard, don't make sure it aligns. And that's ridiculous to me. But the reality is the second point, which is that some people do not care about actually believing. Some people just, like, they're okay with acceptance, and you can't let those people dictate what your life and feelings should be like. And they may not have ever had an experience that makes a distinction between belief and acceptance. They may not have ever learned anything else. For me, encountering spirituality gave me that sense of, oh, this is what, okay, now this finally makes sense. Or even a sense of like remembering information, a physical sense of like I'm familiar with it already and now I'm hearing it again and I remember it. Maybe they've never had anything like that, and therefore it doesn't make sense why you would need to feel anything specific about this information. And maybe they are aware that they're fixing it in their mind so that they can make everything make sense, and that's enough for them. Some people are in religion because they want to be. To me, I feel like I don't have a choice in what I believe. I mean, if I believe it, I believe it. It's kind of like I can go into this candy store or whatever and, oh, a Japanese 7-Eleven, which is apparently paradise. And there's so much stuff in there, but if I have a milk allergy I just can't have the milk stuff. If I'm allergic to gluten, I just can't have all that. So it's like, I'm not choosing not to eat that. My body's already said like, I can't eat that. That's kind of how I feel about my beliefs. I can't choose what my brain decides is pointless or useless. That's a value assessment, and that's very different to me from beliefs. But some people, they don't make that distinction at all. They're just like there are some people who are married and they don't need to be in love with their partner. They are married and they don't even feel like they need to live in the same place, or, you know, people's definitions, they don't feel like they need to be happy. People's definitions of things are very different. And those people, like that difference in people is sort of the difference between people who are deconstructing and leaving and people who are staying, because they don't need the same things that we might need. So all of this to say, while deconstructing, pay attention to what feels like something you believe versus what you accept. Think back over stuff and ask, did I used to believe this, or did I just accept it because I didn't have a choice? And see where that leads you. Thanks for watching this video. Please let me know if there's something that you recognize you don't believe. The things I mentioned, going to heaven and my purpose, are just two things, but maybe you have a good example. Also, please subscribe and let me know if there's any other topics you will be interested in hearing my thoughts on. I will talk to you in the next video.